Yo, how's it going, guys? As promised, today I'm going to be bringing you a 11.1 Holy Priest guide. So, in this most recent set of changes that Blizzard did, there was a ton of buffs to Holy Priest. We kind of talked about them in a previous video. And Holy Priest basically went from unplayable to probably the best healer. I think Resto Druid is also close. It really hasn't been viable the entire expansion, so, you know, to make the jump from, I would say, dead last to first is a crazy come up. And Resto Druid was basically not being played either. They got a little bit of a buff, and they got 4-piece, so here we are, the Holy Priest Resto Druid meta. So we're going to go ahead and talk about, Holy Priest. Try to help you guys figure out what to do. Pros and cons of Holy Priest, okay? So if you guys were playing Disc Priest previously to Holy, the biggest con of Holy Priest is you have no damage reduction. Your teammates are taking full dam all the time. Their health is going to be a roller coaster, you know, possibly even a emotional roller coaster. A lot of the times you want people to dip below 50% health on purpose because you do 20% more healing under 50, and then you use your powered life under 50, so it's just going up and it's down, it's up and it's down. You know, GS, just getting combat here. You know, Guardian Spirit plus a Serenity, that's a 6 million non-crit heal, so like you can literally just take people from 0 to 100 immediately. So it's like, it's something where you have to have really good communication, and I feel like I should almost even like put this in the guide. You need your partners to understand when they're safe or not, and it's normally like when you have Guardian, when you have you know, Ray, when you have powered life, stuff like that. So yeah, the cons are definitely your teammates are going to take a lot of damage. It's almost uncomfortable. You kind of have to get used to the chaos. Like, it's a little bit of controlled chaos, especially from going from disc to disc, because disc was super stable. You had, you know, people at full HP with 3 million shield while taking 3% DR, and then when they took damage, it paints up. One of the other cons about Holy Priest is you're kind of like, it's kind of hard to heal through like spike damage in general. So for example, like marksman hunters, like maybe even feral druids, stuff like that. That damage, like even though their HP is spiky, it's just generally pretty hard to heal through. Disc was a lot smoother. And then the pros of Holy Priest is a lot of instant cast. You don't have to find yourself casting too much. You're great on mana. And then you do a ton of damage. Like, Holy Fire is like 1 mil every time. I don't know why that felt like it wasn't 1 mil. Oh, you know what? It's gotta have some sort of PvP modifier. And that was 1 mil. And then when you chastise, you have the 2 Holy Fires as well. So you can just kind of, you do pretty big damage. It's got really heavy burst. But I would say the main like pro of Priest is chastise. Having the ability to stun ranged as a healer or in cap ranged as a healer to kind of, you know, you can see how much distance you can cross here. But like, chastise. And that was DR, but we're going to pretend it's not. Boom, full fear. You know what I mean? You could just kind of make things happen on your own. It kind of makes you a little bit more lethal. And then that chastise that gives you CC also gives you millions of damage. Who would have thought? So the add-ons that I use, Arena Analytics, I'm going to show this because someone was just asking about it on my stream, but it kind of shows you all your matchups if you're curious, like what your win rate is. You know, pretend that this didn't happen. I was killing Windwalker Decay. Ooh. Yeah, guys, Windwalker Decay, doesn't matter Holy Priest is that good. Don't queue this comp. Yeah, Arena Analytics, get it right off CurseForge. Better Blizz frames, I only use to hide a UI error. I guess I'll show you. If you guys don't like your action bars like graying out and whatnot, better Blizz frames, everything with the add-on is literally disabled besides this right here. Fix action bar cooldowns during CC. And then I have better Blizz plates. I don't really use anything in better Blizz plates besides the fact that I use it to help my arrow. People ask like what I use for friendly nameplates or whatever, and exclamation arrow in my chat, and then it showed this is the weak R, and then there's a video on how to set up the better Blizz plates in order to get it to look like that. Big debuff shows the bigger debuffs on the, you know, the raid frames, obviously very good. Button Forge adds extra buttons. I'm not currently using it. Details tracks damage healing. Diminish is where I have, if you guys, you know, I'm kind of circling where it's at on my UI, but next to my party frames, I have, like, you know, if I'm on stun DR, sheep DR, stuff like that. Frame sort keeps me at the bottom of the frame. You could also alternatively be at the top of the frame if you prefer that. Leetrix Plus, I disabled a annoying thing here. So I literally have Leetrix for this right here, hide error message. So if you ever have like the red spam in the middle of your screen, that's annoying. I don't like that at all. You know what I mean? I don't care if it says spells on cooldown. Like, you know, I know I'm just pressing anyway. I got OCD. Leave me alone. Or ADHD. My slot helps you set up multiple characters, copy your stuff over. Nameplate buffs is my nameplate add-on. It's a little janky. Wouldn't recommend using it. But yeah, that's how that works. Omnibar shows my enemies' kicks or cooldowns, whatever. Omni CD shows my friendlies, you know, cooldowns, things like that. S Arena updated too by Sammers is the arena frames. I obviously don't use default. True stat value is something that you didn't need last patch because you could not hit DRs on your stats, but if you're not familiar with it, if you have too much of one stat, you'll start to lose it. This will tell you if you're hitting that penalty. So if I get 19, I guess in this case 20 more mastery, I will officially be losing some. As a matter of fact, I actually believe I just procced mastery here, so you can see that I'm losing 69 stats. So it kind of helps you keep track of your stats to see if you're like maybe going too much haste or maybe too much mastery or whatever it is that you're playing. Trophy GCD, this is what I use for you guys to see, but if you record your own gameplay or your stream or whatever and you want to know what globals you're using, you can also use that. I think you could actually also set it up for your enemies. And then weak auras. I'll go over all my priest weak auras. There are maybe there's a lot of them, but yeah, weak auras are the most overpowered. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. They're just by far the most overpowered add-on in the game. Anytime I lose a game, I'm just like, yo, Mez, make me a weak aura. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to the game, but it is the reality. People come my stream, they're like, bro, how do you see anything? And I'm like, you know, I use my eyeballs, but either way. Divinity, if you guys play the Divinity talent as a Holy Priest, this is that. Shows you your instant cast. Empowered Renew, this one is really awesome. Copy that URL, it is a just paste it. This will give you the weak aura for the Empowered Renew. What it does is it shows like, so for example, if you Lightwell or something, or if you proc a Renew, this is not an Empowered Renew. This will tell you specifically if the person has the actual empowered 120% stronger Renew. It's actually very useful. What else do we got here? Imperial Blaze tells you how long your instant holy fires are up for. Holy Ward. Of course, there's no URL for this one. Come into my stream. Ask me for this one if you need it. Try to Google. If you can't find it, I'll try to put this one in and paste it as well. It's a good one to have, though. This one's also really, really awesome. This weak aura right here, what this weak aura does is when somebody drops below 50% health and powered life is off cooldown, it'll kind of highlight the frame a little bit. So like you see this little border? It's basically saying, hey, press powered life on me. I'm dying. So pretty nifty. As you can see here, this is kind of why we got owned as Windwalker Decay tonight. But yeah, definitely a really handy weak aura to have. Powered Fortitude if somebody needs to be rebuffed. Precog. Proc. Ray of Hope. This is also really important. You got to know how powerful your Ray is. Because people will do damage to it. If you don't have this weak aura, you basically can't press Ray. So yeah, this Ray is only 1 billion negative. So yeah, the target dummy just took 1 billion damage there. Unfortunate for him. Ray Hope right there. Resonant Words. This shows, you know, if you have Resonant Words up. Moving along. Macros. I don't think I use anything crazy on Priest. I use a lot of Dispel or like Party 1-2 macros. I use a lot of Arena 1-2-3 macros. I use a lot of Focus macros. I use a lot of Help Harm macros, and sometimes Assists macros. If you don't know what those are, I'll tell you as we go over them, but yeah. I have Party 1-2 Void Shift, Life Swap, Dispel Party 1-2 Magic, but what this macro does as well is if anybody is mind controlled, it will change from, you know, your Purify to your Purge. So you could purge off mind control, so it kind of just makes it really easy. This is just press Feather automatically at your feet, Focus Purge, Desperate Prayer, that looks like the old icon. A lot of people ask me what it is. I just like it looking like that. Focus MC, Target Smite. I don't really care too much about that as this build. This is a Help Harm macro, so if I'm targeted on a friendly, it'll use Dispel. If I'm targeted on an enemy, it'll use Dispel. If you guys ever played Priest in the like way old days, I'm an old man now, like Wrath of Lich King. Dispel used to be the same button, you know? It was just the offensive and defensive Dispel was the same button, so this kind of mimics that a little bit. I don't even use this macro. Irrelevant. Focus Thought Steal. If you play Priest, you can use this macro so you don't spam Pain Sup. Or sorry, Disc. Mind Control Arena 3. Dispel Party 1. Dispel Self. Grip Party 1. Grip Party 2. Mind Control Arena 1. Mind Control Arena 2. Void Shift Party 1. And target player for Holy Ward. And then also Focus Thought Steal if I ever decide to play it. Mind Control Arena 3. Irrelevant. Target smite, also irrelevant. PI macro. This is my death macro right here. Works well. It's target closest enemy when you spam it. It could mess you up sometimes by targeting something that's like immune, and then you don't get death. You don't get the death, like if it goes into like a rogue cloak or like a bubble or something. This is a really nice macro. Allows you to swap between party shield 1, 2, yeah. This is also dispel magic. This right here allows you to swap between, so you can see I'm Holy Ward here. If I spec into Holy Ward, spec into Ray, just same keybind. Pretty nice macro there. Cursor Lightwell, and it also pings it so people know, but Soul Shuffle, no one's going to care anyway. This is also kind of an important one, and this should be in my death as well, but you have to have like a cancel aura Spirit of Redemption in your fade macro. So like if someone tries to like put a Ring of Frost down below you or a trap below you, if you press the fade while you're in the thing, it'll cancel, and you can actually immune the CC. Moving along, races for Priest. So Priest has a lot of good options. I personally kind of am always going to play Undead. I would say the next most popular is very likely Night Elf. On the Tournament Realm, I think I'll probably most likely play either Undead or Priest. Human. I don't even have another Priest set up. I think Night Elf is good, but, being an Undead, it allows you to get out of CC with Will of the Forsaken. There's obviously a lot of Priests in this meta, Holy Priest every single game. And then, not only that, like, if there's no fear, you're always going to get stunned. So being a human, it essentially gives you a 1-minute cooldown trinket. That's what it does. If I use, the Will to Survive or whatever it is, my PvP trinket will be available again in 1 minute, and it allows me to get out of stun every single minute. So I would say Human's viable, Undead is viable, and I think that Night Elf is viable. And then if you want to play Gnome because you're afraid of Root Beam and or you want more mana, because you definitely can play Gnome and have a larger mana pool, it's extra 5%, you can do that as well. But personally, I think Undead's the best. I would probably say after that, it's probably Human or Nelf. I think I would probably lean towards Human. But Nelf kind of has like a cooler like outplay potential. And then maybe Gnome. Other than that, I mean, I've seen some meme stuff. I've seen like I've seen the Void Elves for Fears. I've seen the High Mountain Taurens for Fears. I've seen Pandas for Incaps. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be as good. Stat Prios and Enchants, and Crafted Gear and Embellishments and Tier. So for Holy Priest, I think that you want to use Ascension. For Disc Priest, I used the Energy Beacon. It does not feel very good for Holy, so I've crafted Ascension on my weapon. You could do that with either 2 Ascensions, or you could do it with 1 Ascension on a staff and then the armor banding. That also works. This just was kind of easier for me to do. In terms of like enchants and whatnot, obviously mana on chest, mana on legs. I do speed on everything else because, you want to help get the fear, so speed. Rings, I think Mastery is your best stat, so I go Curse Mastery. And you do not need 4-piece on Holy, but I'm running it because I wanted to try it, and unironically, I'm actually playing it on Tournament Realm because I kind of have like a little bit of mixed stats, but this is basically where I'm at. Like, I don't want to overcap on Mastery because I'm already there, and once you start going over this, you're just gonna lose stat after stat after stat. So it feels kind of nice to have about 10% haste, the full Mastery, before the DR, and then like a decent amount of verse. You can skip some of these pieces though, like, what I mean? I'm okay with some haste. I'm okay with some haste mastery. So basically, this could have a little bit less mastery and some verse if you wanted that, but it feels okay to have. So stats should, I don't want to say be balanced, but yeah, you want to kind of get to that mastery cap, and then you could maybe do a little bit more verse if you want less haste, maybe even a little bit more haste if you want to like drop this piece and get like a little bit more mastery or crit or verse as well. So mastery is definitely your prio, and then the other ones are just kind of just a little smidge. So talents, this is the build I play. So basically nothing changes here unless I want to play Incap. I'll play Incap a lot with Rogue Mage, but if I'm ever playing a comp where we have a lot of stuns, I'll drop my stun and I'll play the the Incap one. It kind of feels better, I guess. It's up to you whether or not you want to play that or not, but this is just the point that I personally switch. And then down here, I don't really change much with these talents, but I have been, when I fight like really heavy, like not super bursty AoE damage, I I swap this point, and you could do it differently if you want. Like, you could swap this point if you want. I think Lightwell's pretty good. You could swap this point if you want. I personally am a big fan of Epiphany, but I do think that Answered Prayers is really good when you're getting like a ton of like palm value. So a couple points there. I don't think dropping Resonant Words is very good. I think it's super powerful, and dropping 1 point in Desperate Times is kind of sus, but I have personally liked this talent setup. You know, this feeds into this feeds into this, and it feels pretty good all around. Now, on this side of the tree, I actually, as a Holy Priest, you don't have to play this, especially in Shuffle, but having Angelic Bulwark plus Desperate Measures makes me feel like a lot less susceptible to being swapped to. It almost kind of gives me like that one get out of jail free card. So I end up playing these talents a lot. If I fight physical damage teams, I could play Inspiration, you know, where I gotta grip my partner a lot. I could play this. I play Holy Nova to help reset the cooldown on Chastise. A lot of people ask me why. And it is to reset the cooldown on Chastise, and it does scale with Apotheosis. So like if I start, you know, using Holy Nova here, I can start kind of trucking through this Chastise cooldown. It's pretty helpful. But it does scale with Apoth as well. So like if you Apoth and you do the Holy Fire, you're like one Holy Nova away from almost having another Chastise, which is pretty insane. So Chastise, Holy Fire, Holy Nova. Look at that. Pretty awesome. I like Body and Soul because, you know, it puts up every single time you press Palm, and it's also Purge Protection. So I would say, like, these are kind of like the flex points. Like, if you feel like... Oh, also, sometimes I will... Where's my last point at right now? I'll play Improved Purify into Shadow Priest. You could Dispel Devouring Plagues. If I feel like I'm getting attacked a lot, you know, you could put this point into Protective Light. And then even if you Flash Heal the other person, or even just, like, Rot teams, you'll still get the 10% because the Flash Heal heals you for 20%. It counts as Flash Heal, you get the 10% reduction. If I'm, like, dispelling a lot, I'll play this talent, but yeah. So it's kind of up to you if you want Angelic Bulwark, if you feel like you get swapped to. You can also, if you're not fighting, you know, physical damage, or you don't need the dispel and you don't need the grip, you can obviously play a Strong Fear, Mind Control, Tendrils, Mind Control, drop this, you know. So those are kind of your flex points. I personally play Short Prem over the Powerful Prem. I don't really think the Powerful Prem matters that much. And then I'm also a big fan of the 50% powered life. It feels really, really good to have. Also, I mean, specifically because you do 20% more healing on targets under 50, and then you have Resonant Words, which plus you by another 40%. In terms of PvP talents, I don't really change much. I basically play Phase Shift into every single team, and I play Spirit of the Redeemer into every single team. So when I fight, specifically, I want to say mages, and you can try to do this for Shadow Priest, but it really drives me crazy, spam dispelling VTs and CCing myself, but you can do it if you want. You could try Double Dispel. Mind Games, I never play. Improved Mass Dispel, I never play. Catharsis, I never play. Purification, I like into specifically just Frost Mages, because I feel like they CC so much, dispelling a lot is very good. But what I will say with that is there's some classes a Frost Mage could play with where I would rather get CC'd more and have the ability to heal through Burst with Ray of Hope, because Ray of Hope is also really good. And I think like that's like versus Outlaw Rogue Mage, I'd play Double Dispel. Versus Sub Rogue Mage, I would play Holy Ward, because they're more oriented around CC. But like versus like Warrior Mage or Windwalker Mage or something like that, I think I would prefer Ray of Hope. I never play Thought Steal, personally. You can do it on mages and steal their polys if you would like. You can do it on warlocks and steal their fears if you would like. You could try to be cheeky and steal rejuice from Resto Druids. I don't think it's very good. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the talent. I feel like there's other stuff. I've tried playing Aura Mastery with Boomkin. If you play with like a Destro Warlock or a caster that kind of has to stand still, you could definitely try Sanctified Ground. It felt pretty good with Boomkin. But overall, I don't think it's that great. And then I like Holy Ward into Sub-Rogues and BM Hunters. And then sometimes I actually like it versus like Feral Druids and kind of like CC heavy comps where the CC is pretty like obvious, I guess, or you just kind of want to delay for as long as you can. But yeah, it's a little bit of a tough call. Ray if you need it versus like those bursty classes. Holy Ward if you want to try to avoid CC. Double Dispel if you want to try to dispel CC. And then I think Divine Ascension's like If you're ever just hard getting trained by 2 melee, which I've never done, Divine Ascension would be a good option. I think if you play 2v2, Divine Ascension could be a good option. Or maybe if you're like in a melee cleave lobby in Solo Shuffle, Divine Ascension could be a good option. I personally think I'd prefer Ray. I feel like I'm pretty comfortable surviving on Holy Priest, and I don't think people have ever really trained me too hard or trained me that well. So I feel like Ray kind of gives me, you know, a little bit more healing, a little bit more kick when I need it. But yeah, those are kind of the honor talents, and this middle one's basically the flex one. All right, hero talents. This is the most asked question I get on Holy Priest, is how do you use Prem? I essentially use Prem on everything. Everything and anything I can. I cycle through my premonitions like it doesn't matter at all, because I think that's kind of the reality. I don't think premonition is that crazy. As Holy Priest, as Discipline, I really liked using it with like the Penance Shield combo. Those are your 2 strongest heals. I do the same thing every single time at the start of every single game. At the start of every single game, 100% of games, I do the same thing. I Prem, I Palm, Renew, I Lightwell, I Palm, I Renew. So the game starts and I have 2 Palms out, I have 2 big Renews out, and I have a Lightwell. So if a team opens, the Lightwell will extend the big Renews. Now, as the game goes on, I just press Premonition of Piety as soon as I feel like I need it. It is a 20% healing increase. If you want to do 20% more healing, you just press it, you know? Premonition of Solace, in my opinion, is unironically the worst one. The shield is so tiny, so I just kind of press that on CD as well. Like, it just, you know, as soon as I press, like, a Powered Life or Serenity, I just kind of tie it in with that. And then with Clairvoyance, which, in my opinion, you're essentially just using it for that 20% healing increase as well as the CDR. I press it almost on CD as soon as I feel like I need the healing, but it just depends on what spells I have active. If I have a Palm active, I'm going to press it, I'm going to Palm. If I have a Powered Life active and available, I'm going to press it, I'm going to press the Powered Life. If I have a Palm into a Serenity, I'll press it and I Palm, and I press it with a Palm and Serenity. So, as soon as you need the healing, you just press the ability, you're doing 20% more healing, you're getting a little bit of CDR. So like for example, with these abilities I have right now, I would get a Resonant Words up, and then I would do it very, very simply like this. Palm, you know, Powered Life, Palm, Serenity, and that can maybe reset, and then you have another, you know, getting multiple Powered Lives out of it feels pretty good. So many people ask, and it's something you really don't have to put that much thought into. So the main spells I use it on are kind of these 4 right here. Almost always these 4, actually. Palm, Renew, and Powered Life, and Holy Word, Serenity. I would say most of the time I only do the Renew at the start of the game. These ones feel really good to use it on. So the healing rotation, I would love to talk about. And we talked about a little bit earlier in the video, is the communication. I feel like playing Holy Priest over this last week or so, I feel like it has really emphasized on how important it is for me to communicate with my DPS because of how roller coastery my heals are. The things that I try to communicate the most is when I have Guardian, letting people know they're safe, when I have Ray of Hope, letting people know they're safe, and when I have Chastise, letting people know I have for CC. I think those are the most important things that you just, when you're playing a Holy Priest, people feel really, really sketched out. So you just got to kind of work on those, you know, those comms and be like, yo, I have Guardian. You know, if you get low, I will top you immediately. I have Ray. When you get low, I will top you immediately. And then when I have none, I'll be like, yo, I'm light on heals. Like, if you get low, like, shit's going to hit the fan. Might be a block, might be a cloak, might be evasion, whatever. And then it might not be super important for, like, the Chastise, but from, like, an RMP perspective, it's really important for my DPS to know, like, when I can cover something and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the communication. But so in terms of the healing on Holy Priest, there's a couple of things to track for. And it is definitely tied around using your holy words. So first things first, you're kind of going to Palm and Renew on CD. These are just like the no-brainers. But what you really want to try to do is you want to try to make sure you weave like holy words and Powered Lives. You get max value out of like Resonant, and you get max value out of Epiphany. So I'll try to like show you this right now, okay? So like right now I want to Palm Renew, and now I want to get a Resonant up. So I use a Holy Word, I get a Resonant, And now I could use Powered Life. And now I would like to get another Resonant. So I palm, because I want to palm before it. And then I Chastise, and now I have a Resonant. Now I could use this. And now I would like to get another Resonant for my Powered Life. So I could use, you know, another one of these. And now I palm. And then I have another Resonant. We Powered Life. And now I want to get another Resonant. I fucking whatever, Serenity. And now we could flash with the Resonant. And now we're out of power, you know, powered ball sacks, whatever. We can use a palm here. We could Chastise this. It resets our palm again. We could palm here. We have a Resonant. We can use Powered Life. We have a Serenity. We could Serenity. We have a, you know, Resonant. We could get a Flash Heal. So yeah, it's literally, it's all about kind of min-maxing your heal with resetting your palm and getting 40% more healing on your instant flashes and your Powered Life. And keep in mind that you will get Resonance from your Chastise as well. So pretty simple. Palm on CD. Renew on CD. Try to get max value out of resetting your palm with your Holy Words. And try to get max value out of resetting your... Or sorry, you know, getting the Resonance. Like, with... sometimes it's completely fine to, like, use multiple Holy Words without using, like, a flash. So, like, for example, like, if I use this... if I use this Powered Life and I have no things, I could just, like, kind of fish for procs here. Like, Sanctify, Serenity, got a proc, and now we can Serenity again here. Like, it's okay to try to do this, you know? But now, like, I kind of want this for this Powered Life. I would say, in most case scenarios, you really want to make sure you have Resonant for your Powered Life. A lot of people ask if you ever use Powered Shield. It's a really despy button. It heals for essentially nothing. The only time I use Powered Shield is if I have no Palm, I have no Renew, I have no Serenity, I have no Sanctify, I have no Powered Life. And then, hey, we can press a Powered Shield, boys. It is, in this case, 600k. I think I must have a proc up or something, but yeah, it's pretty bad. Damage rotation. You have Chastise, you have Holy Fire, you have Smite, which Smite actually hits really hard, by the way. Don't sleep on Smite. Shadow Repaint is never worth it. It's only worth it if you're, like, trying to keep someone in combat. Ticks for 11k. Holy Fire Dot ticks for 47k. This basically does absolutely nothing. It's kind of important to try to get your Chastises out early so you can do damage with the double Holy Fire. And one thing I like to do, if it's available, is I actually like to Holy Fire into the Chastise so you get a little bit more burst. You get those two Holy Fires off in the Chastise. That feels pretty good. But yeah, and then if you get, like, if you have the ability, like, look at these Smites, man. These hit almost as hard as Holy Fire. It's actually crazy. Smite pumps really hard, so don't be afraid to try to pump on Holy Priest. It's especially in 2s, but yeah, in 3s as well. Like, getting the Chastise off for Holy Fires. Definitely, big damn. Big damn. Pretty simple stuff. Cooldown rotation. So, basically, the start of every game, it's normally going to be Angel. And then, as needed, GS. I like to GS before Ray, personally. And then Ray, and then Apoth is anywhere in between, I guess. And then I kind of like to use Swap Blast. Angel is kind of first global. You're gonna Angel him as soon as you can. Sometimes during this Angel, you're gonna have to Guardian. That's okay. Sometimes you don't have to. And then, you know, depending on how much damage people are taking, if they're dropping really low, or you feel like, you know, it's just super spiky, feel free to GS. And then obviously the same thing. You know, feel free to Ray. It's really important that you have the healing to back up Ray. Like, if you don't have these buttons right here, your Rays, don't press Ray in this situation. Like, swap or have your teammate use a massive cooldown or something. But yeah, and I like using Guardian before Ray because Guardian is a 1 minute cooldown, Ray is a 1.5 minute cooldown. So kind of doing the shorter CDs first kind of allows you to get back to the shorter CD. It just allows you to flow better. One of the important things I would like to say about Apoth is make sure you use all your stuff. Like, before you Apoth, you should have essentially no Chastise and 1 charge of both of these. So when you reset, you get all these back. You want maximum value. Maximum value. PI, just kind of send whenever, you know, whenever your teammates ask for it. In Soul Shuffle, I just send it first global before my Angel. That way my him channels faster. Desperate Prayer if you're being attacked. Not really anything crazy. Mana efficiency. There's not really too much to talk about here. with mana efficiency, the most important thing about Holy Priest mana is do not use Symbol of Hope inside your Guardian, and do not use Shadow Fiend before you go into Guardian. Because if you're trying to get mana back and you Angel, and you Shadow Fiend and you Angel, you cannot gain mana in this form. It's not possible. So if you Hymn of Hope in here, you cannot gain mana in this form. So if you're like one of those people that just presses Shadow Fiend first global then goes Angel, you're not going to get the mana back from that. Other than that, I mean, if you're trying to be really efficient, heal is going to be more efficient than Flash Heal. And then obviously, like, weaving that in with, like, Resonant Words is going to be, you know, your best case scenario. So just maximum value. So kind of doing like this. Always make sure you got that purple circle, boys. Positioning as a Holy Priest, you could definitely be very aggressive. You have a lot of tools to avoid CC, you know, especially if you're Ward, if you have Fade, if you could Chastise to get it. I would say more times than not, like, it feels like Holy Priest kind of push the pace. You can kind of AFK, you could play in the pocket, you kind of chill, but I think when you have like things like Fade and Ward and Chastise, and people are off DR, you can definitely kind of, you know, make a case to go for those CCs. Like, so let's see if this guy's thing's here. Like, look how much ground you can cover with this. You know what I mean? From here to here. And then obviously if someone slows you, you just Fade, whatnot. Utility CC being offensive, I think you want to try to be like as offensive as you can afford to on Holy Priest. That means with Holy Fires, that means with Chastises, that means with Fears, and then as well as the CC, Chastises and Fears. And then your utility they have, you have Power Infusion, you have Mass Dispel, you have Grip, so you can grip people away. You have Holy Ward if you wanted to play that and maybe like throw it on a DPS. It feels like Holy Priest is a little bit of like a gas pedal class. But like I said, if you don't have these things, you could chill back as well. Like, or if you don't have Trinket, you don't want to get punished. Like, you know, you want to try to avoid CC. I would say more times than not versus like things like Mages, it's really hard for me to push in versus CC. Versus like Hunter Feral, it's kind of hard for me to push in for a CC. And if you're not catching the trend here, it's kind of like those spammable CC classes. Feral, like if I leave the pillar, I could try to spam Clone. Mage could spam Sheep. So playing position versus like those classes is probably more important. But in general, definitely, I think you're going to want to find yourself like making sure you're using that stuff on CD. And if you can't get it on the healer, Chastise a DPS, Fear a DPS. You know, the Chastise allows you to get that that damage rolling. Definitely very, very important for Holy Priest. Being offensive and being defensive, this is something that's just going to kind of take practice. I think Holy Priest is actually like one of those healers that it's a little bit easier for. It feels like your healing is pretty spiky. You can top somebody and you can just kind of flip a switch where, you know, it's like, oh, you know, I'm going to GS Guardian here, and then guess what? Boom, Chastise, and I'm just going to go Fear this guy, and then since I got that Fear, I'm just going to send 2 Holy Fires on this guy, and then, you know, I'm like going to Apoth and just Chastise him again, send out another 2 Holy Fires. Like, you can flip the switch really, really quickly, and kind of go from offensive to defense, like, on the drop of a dime. And I think a lot of it is just really kind of coming down to recognizing what you have at your disposal between the Ward, the Fade, the Chastise, the Fear, the Death, things like that, and kind of being able to, you know, be comfortable with it. Dealing with kicks, this is a really, like I talk about this in every single guide. It's pretty simple. Just try not to be predictable. If you're having trouble faking someone, you know, fake middle, fake early, fake late. You got to try to switch your fake patterns, and if you're having like a really hard time with somebody, you just got to go for some cast. You have to go for some cast. Like if someone is just straight up not biting, you kind of got to fight back by trying to either like tank kicks at a time where you feel like you can tank them. So like if I tank this kick here, boom, I'm interrupted, feared the whole team. Like if you're in a situation where it's like, oh man, I have to cast, but they have kicks available, I'm just gonna life swap, tank the kick. You know what I mean? If they kick you on Holy, just life swap on Shadow. You know what I mean? You gotta try to keep the kicker honest. You know, can't let them think you're gonna fake yourself to death. But just try not to be too predictable. How to kite well and survive, guys? I don't get attacked as a Holy Priest ever. I've never been trained as a Holy Priest. I've been swapped to as a Holy Priest, and that's why I like Desperate Measures and Angelic Bulwark. But I've never fought a team that trains me. I think Holy Priests are randomly like kind of hard to kill. You feather, you fade, you kind of slip away, drop a Fear, whatever. But I would say the biggest thing is if you really are getting trained, This town is disgusting, bro. Fly in the air every 1 minute. You're just immune to death to 2 melee. Fly in the air is really OP. But if you are being trained, I would say like one of the biggest things is to try to put those DPS in a bad position. So like if this is the pillar, their healer is, you know, back there kind of doing their thing. You're getting trained, you're going to die. You know what I mean? You want to kind of move them and pull them in a position where, okay, now they're LOSing their healer has to come in, he's here, now you're going to go over here. You want to make their enemy's healer, their enemy healer's life hell. You know, you want to make it as hard as possible for that guy to heal them while they're training you. And then also you want to try to put the enemy healer in a position where your DPS could potentially CC him really easily. The comps that you have is Holy Priest. Holy Priest is probably the best healer in the game. Every comp is going to be good with the Holy Priest. I fight Shadow Priest, Holy Priest, Feral Druid. I think that comp is specifically probably better with like a Resto Druid or something, but Holy Priest can kind of run everything. It's super diverse. I mean, if you have 2 DPS, man, you can queue it up with a Holy Priest. It's honestly kind of the same is true for like our Druid. Like, I don't think like Rogue Mage Druid is better than RMP, but you could probably queue Rogue Mage Druid. Holy Priest is an insanely good healer. It is super fun to play right now. One of my favorite heals in the game is Palm. And you send out a lot of Palms as a spec. Every time you press Palm, you shoot out 9. There's a chance for him not to proc. And fun spec. Fun spec indeed. That is going to be it. Good luck with your Holy Priest games. And yeah, have fun. Try to, you know, ride the roller coaster of the health bouncing up and down. And try to be a part of those big burst kills with the Holy Fires. Two very satisfying ways to play the game. Health moving up and down, and then the enemy's health moving up and down. GG's, guys. Good luck. Have fun. That you never be lonely. Be the fan, that's what they call me.